Hi, everyone. Welcome to Spirit Switchboard. I am your host, Kerrilynn Shellhorn, and you are listening to us live on 105.3 and 107.7 FM New Orleans. So I have a little bit of housekeeping. There are some issues with StreamYard on Facebook right now. If you guys are trying to watch on Facebook and having any issues with that, please head over to YouTube channel. You could go to the UFO Paranormal channel, or you can go to my channel, which is Kerrilynn of Spirit Switchboard, and watch us over on YouTube as well too. You can give permission if it is working on Facebook. Give permission. Head over to StreamYard, and you can give them permission to use your name and photo. We'll know who we are talking to if you do that. Hi, Joni. Astrology meets true crime. You guys don't want to miss this show. Hi, Denise. Hi, Contessa. Joni has a show, Astrology Meets True Crime. It has switched over to Wednesday evenings with the Rift Nation Network. And it's great. And if you guys head to her website, Joni has a class, Astrology 101, that she's going to be teaching. If you are not in Kentucky, because I'm not, I'm up here in Canada, but I signed up. I'm going to be doing it. She's going to be doing it live in person Joni, what's the name of the store? You're so welcome. I'm sorry that I can't remember the name of the store, but if you are out of or not in the Kentucky area where she lives, you guys can join in through Zoom. So I'm going to be there. Silver Wolf Treasures and Gifts. It'll be a good time. And Joni's podcast is amazing. If you like true crime and you like anything astrology, it's a great. May 11th from 3 to 5 is the Zoom class. Hi, Jackie. Hi, Kathy. Oh, good, Denise. Thank you for letting me know that it's on Facebook now. That's brilliant. Thanks so much. I'm going to bring on today's. Oh, okay. Teresa Leduc Chalmers Cowley. I'm coming to New Orleans October 30th, and I'm looking for recommendations for paranormal investigations. Well, we'll see if anybody has any recommendations for you. You know who you could also reach out to is the Enigmatic. Enigmatic. Oh my goodness, they were on the show too. They're paranormal investigators. So, but it's Enigmatic is the name of their group, and they're from New Orleans, so they may also have some suggestions for you as well too. Today on the show, we have Paranormal Theory. They formed in June of 2023. They've visited some of the most haunted places of the East Coast of the United States. And we have Emily and Ryan joining us.
Hello.
Hi, Emily. Hi, Ryan.
How are you?
Good. Where are you guys joining us from today?
New Jersey.
That's awesome.
Good old Jersey.
That's fun. You know what, Anthony? Thank you very much for joining us today. I'm not giving messages today that way. We're just going to be talking about some paranormal experiences, and we're not giving messages from the other side. But thank you for being here.
Kyle.
Kyle's in here.
So I'd like to talk about, because you guys are a new group. You guys just formed in June of 2023. Did you guys have paranormal experiences before you started your group? Like growing up, did you have any experiences, or was it just an interest?
Emily, do you want to start it?
Yeah, so I personally never had a paranormal experience at all. I know Ryan did. For instance, Ryan's my brother, and I get told these stories like, oh my God, guess what happened today? I swore I heard something. I'm like, oh, no. Like, I used to be straight on not believing in the paranormal. Like, I was so against it. But until we went to Pennhurst for their Paracon, we did like a little like mini investigation.
Right.
And my first encounter was in the Limerick basement. I actually got scratched on my back. it was the craziest experience. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm terrified.
See, what does that say about us when we get scratched and go, I'm hooked, let's do more? You know,
That's literally how it happened. I'm
Yeah,
like,
especially like her first experience is like physical. Like that. Wow.
That's so funny. But it's true. It's like, okay, there's something real to that. And there is something about getting scared, that that dopamine, that adrenaline rush, and you just want more of it, right? Bud Morris, thank you for joining us.
And then so for me, I had an experience as a little kid, and what it was my parents took me to Fort Mifflin. It's right next to the Philadelphia airport. I believe it was the oldest active fort in the United States, and they have these underground bunkers. So we went, I went underneath the bunker. I forget if it was with one of my brothers or one of my friends at the time, and we were down there, and there was a broom that was laying. It was laying in the corner, and I remember whoever it was that was with me was like antagonizing the spirits at the time.
Right.
And we saw this broom get lifted up into the air and then tossed into the middle of the room, and we ran out. So ever since that, I've been like super interested, like what was that? And it's kind of evolved into I mean, we'll get into how we started the team, but yeah, I that was like my first experience. I must have probably been like 10 or 11.
Oh, fun. And that's kind of like, I have always been able to see and talk and connect to people that are crossed over from the time I was little. So my first experience in seeing spirits was, I was very young and connecting. I think I was about 5 at the time. And so my kids, this is like normal for us, you know, having those sorts of experiences. But even like my sister would have experiences, but she doesn't want to, but I drag her to places. Like, so like, I'm like, come on. So we actually are doing an investigation at a house next weekend, and she's tagging along, and it's under duress. So I'm waiting for the phone call from my mom going, make sure that you protect your sister. So do you get those same sort of, like, if your sister's going out with you, or if you guys better be careful, do you get that kind of parental?
Yeah, we kind of get that, you know, because you're going into these abandoned places where some places don't have that, you know, those security cameras around. You don't know if people are in the buildings, which, you know, like that's kind of like our biggest fear.
Safety is an issue.
Yeah, safety is a big issue in the paranormal world. Like, I feel like with these buildings, they need to have this kind of security, because people are going in and like trashing these places, and it's like so much history behind it.
Right. And depending on where you are too, some places do have security and other places don't. And depending on where you're going. And we do not encourage people to do any trespassing, have permission wherever you're going. We don't encourage that.
Yeah. So we've definitely been to some places where it's definitely safe from trespassers. And then we've been to places where it's kind of sketchy. Our thing, like our morals that we do, is we do not trespass everywhere that we have filmed at or took pictures. Anything, we have permission from the owner. So I know a lot of teams and all that, and you'll see a lot of YouTube channels of people just videotaping themselves trespassing. We don't do any of that because it gives you like the paranormal community a bad rap, you know. Because that's a federal offense. Like, you can't be doing that.
Yeah. And to put it out, then you're encouraging other people to do the same, because that's what ends up happening, right? Is other people want to follow, and it's just not cool all the way around. Teresa's asking, have you ever been to Savannah, Georgia?
Not yet.
Yeah. We want.
I like that answer. Not yet. Yet is always like my favorite thing to add at the end. It's
we have we're kind of putting plans together slowly about getting down into the South. I know St. Augustine area is going to be a big area that we want to do, St. Augustine Lighthouse. But I know Savannah, Georgia is extremely haunted. Tons of history there. So it'll definitely be a place we get to eventually.
So how did you form? What was top? Was there a list of, getting together? If I was doing this is where I'd want to go first. Were those kind of conversations? How did that start?
So I'll kind of take the first part about how we formed, and then Emily can kind of tell the rest of the story. So our other team member, Nick, he couldn't make it onto the podcast tonight. Him and I used to work at Pennhurst as
Really?
So he was working security at the time, and I was one of the haunted actors for their haunted attraction they do in October.
Oh, fun.
So we were doing that, and we always heard about people like they can come here and investigate these buildings. And I've had my own experiences at Pennhurst just working, not even like looking for the paranormal, just
right.
hanging out, getting ready for work, and then like things happen. So a couple of years
like
after
what kind
that,
of things, Ryan?
What's that?
Like what kind of things?
So the creepiest one I ever experienced was we had to switch a battery on one of the animatronics that they use. And we can see he wasn't really like a janitor. He was like a machinist kind of guy who's in charge of all the things. And he goes down there and the animatronic goes off on him because it's censored. So you get close to it, it goes off, all that kind of thing. And he's like, I don't know why they want me to switch the battery. He's like, it works fine. And then we look back there and there's no battery. So there was like no power source. Right. It went off. I've seen shadow figures walk from one end of because I was down in the tunnels. So this place has tunnels that connect every building.
Right.
They're like pitch black too. You can't see your hand in front of your face. So you're kind of just walking straight with your hands out. And I would see these shadow figures that were the size of like little kids. And they would go from one side to the other and then just disappear into the wall. And like, you can't see your hand in front of your face, but if anyone's ever seen a shadow figure, they're like darker than dark.
I was just going to say, like, it is unbelievable. And you don't forget it because it is darker than dark. Whatever that dark shadow is, you're seeing it in complete blackness, darkness, and it's still darker than that.
It's a completely different color than darkness. It's so hard to explain if you've never seen it.
Yeah.
And I would see those things and I would kind of just mind my own business. I'm like, this is their home. They're not bothering me.
Yeah. But that's a great attitude too, because you're in their space.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not for me to like freak out and be like, I saw this. Like, no, of course that's where they live. That's their place. I'm not going to, bother them. They probably don't like having a Halloween thing. I've always kind of thought of it that way. Mm-hmm. I don't know.
I think that it plays a part in the energy that builds up for sure. There's lots of opinions about that, right? Everybody's got a difference of opinion about doing attractions in a place that has traumatic history or a violent history or sad, like any of the asylums, right? They're sad. It's sad, and it was people's homes.
So the funny thing about Pennhurst though is it's called Pennhurst Asylum, but it was never actually an asylum. It was Pennhurst State School and Hospital for the feeble-minded, I believe. Don't quote me, but I believe that was the actual name of it. And
still sad. Still
they were. I don't know if you know anything
housed
about
in not good conditions, right?
Yeah, I don't know if you know anything about like eugenics and all that, like that whole eugenics movement, but that basically started at Pennhurst.
Yeah.
So
all the more reason to be respectful when you're in there, right? So,
yeah. And there's nothing bad there. We've investigated that place probably 5 or 6 times.
Yeah.
Even though Emily got scratched, you have to understand that a lot of these people were nonverbal.
So here's an interesting thing with that too. We're gonna pop this up. Hi, Deb. Thank you for being here. One of my favorite people. She lives in California. She's saying, truth, I've spent time at the Whaley House here, and they, meaning spirits, are not happy at the Halloween events. They feel it's disrespectful. And depending on if those spirits are, they've not transitioned, so it's not like they're just coming there to hang out there. If they're stuck in that in-between space, like, do they really understand what's going on as well too? And is that traumatic for them?
Yeah, because I have a whole theory behind like what these spirits actually see. And it's interesting to think that way. Because to me, and it's a good what if question. What if the spirits still see, take the Whaley house, for example. They still see the house as it was when they lived in it. And they're getting glimpses of us.
Oh, yeah, totally.
In their time.
I am all down with talking about that as a theory too. Like, that we are the ones. And I think too, when you catch that, or when you hear people catching those EVPs where they're talking like, shh, they're looking at us.
Yeah.
Like, we are the layer that they are investigating,
yes.
know?
And I think it's super interesting, but
yeah,
I don't know.
But it's great, to have those different, Deb's just saying exactly. Jackie White is actually asking, what does that word mean?
Eugenics. So, let's try to keep it short because this could be hours long conversation about the eugenics movement. So they believed that they could basically eradicate a mental issue, a race. So Hitler.
We're going to be careful where we go with that too.
Yeah, but that was their belief, that they
creating the ideal
that they could eradicate a whole race.
Yeah.
Of people.
Yeah.
Pennhurst started that. And that is they believed that people with, I mean, it went as far as like ADD, schizophrenia, lots of different
disabilities.
Yeah.
Thank you. That they could basically lock these people up, keep them from procreating, and basically keep all those things away from society so they would never spread and happen again. That's basically eugenics in a nutshell.
Hey there.
Oh, there's Nick.
Nicholas Hoffman, Nick here from Paranormal Theory.
Yep.
Sorry I couldn't make it on, but if you're in the chat, that's great because you can still add to the conversation. I appreciate you popping in. There was sorry, I don't want to lose the question. There was Denise. So Denise Metz was just asking Jersey Devil in your area.
Yeah. I've never witnessed them, but I don't know if I'll ever encounter him. But people say that he does live here, so I think it's Bats. What is it, Batsto or Acco?
Batsto.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, Batsto is where he's like.
It's that whole area. It's the Pine Barrens.
Yeah.
Do you find I don't know. Yeah, that you guys had 2 parts to that story. You were going to take care of part 1, and you wanted Emily to take over as far as the, sharing the story and how the group formed. But I wanted to ask, having worked there as an actor and then investigating there, do you feel that the spirits already knew you, so had some form and idea, so they would interact with you differently than a stranger going in?
Yeah, so Pennhurst is one of those places that they absolutely remember you, and you gather rapport with them. I don't know what happened to Emily. She kind of disappeared.
Well, hopefully yeah, we'll see if she pops back in. Thank you, Dawn. Thank you for being here. Cornwall,
But
you
yeah,
there?
as I was saying, Penhurst is definitely one of those places where you gather rapport with them, and they recognize you, and they will interact with you more than if you were a total stranger walking into there.
So again, that that kind of adds to that theory of, are they there investigating you too? Like if they're asking.
Yeah, it's like if we're the spirits to them.
Yeah, we're in their space.
It's like a weird time lapse thing.
Nick is just saying they definitely do remember you. The one spirit remembered me from working there.
Yeah, and it actually came through on our spirit box, and it said, he's like, do you remember me? And it came through and it said security.
Oh.
So it knew like even the uniform that he was wearing.
Wow, I love that. So if we're running with that, Teresa's just saying we must freak them out.
Yeah.
But I think if personalities and qualities of a person stayed the same, then you would have people that are interested, people that are not interested, people who are leery and hang into the back until they see what you're all about. Observers, people that observe, see what your intention is like as well too. And naming the group, and because you originally had a different name, did you not?
Yeah, so we were originally Operation Syndicate.
And then switching over to Paranormal Theory. And if you don't want to go there, that's okay too. Like, was there a reason behind switching it to Paranormal Theory? Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, so 2 reasons. First reason was we believe that most of the evidence and ideas behind paranormal investigating is a theory.
Yeah.
Because it's all trial and error. There's no one who's really a complete 100% expert. And if they say that, they're lying to you. We have so many questions.
Yeah.
And I feel like we spend our time here on Earth, especially as investigators, learning what we can, knowing that we're never going to know 100% of it.
Yeah, I agree with that wholeheartedly.
And the second reason we changed it is because the YouTube algorithm. And put the word paranormal in there.
Which is a thing. It's so true. Somebody told me if you write a book, if you using or a name of anything, if you have your name towards the top of the alphabet, then it's more acceptable. Like people find it easier. So I mean, all those things do matter. And coming up with names for stuff is hard. Deb is just saying some of the Whaley House spirits remembered me too in a kind way. They understand intent. I agree. Yep. They understand intent as well too. And then if they understand intent, whatever energy and intent you go in with, is that what you're going to receive back? So if you go in all angsty and combative or confrontational, you're setting the tone for what you may be receiving back.
Yeah, and like if you go in there, like you're saying, confrontational, a lot of the times those spirits they'll just shut down. They're not going to talk to you.
I agree. Teresa is just saying, I felt that if I was dealing with someone from the early 1900s, they treated me the same from that time period. Example, a lot of butt grabbing. So, but then do you set that intention, right? You set that intention when you're going into a place. Are you giving them permission to use your energy and they're allowed to touch you? Are you setting that like, this is a no-go? You're not allowed to touch me and you are not allowed to use my energy, And does that make a difference? I know when I'm doing the seances in the house and I'm having people over, I tell them, make sure that you're setting your intention and what you're allowing, because, that matters.
And, so let me kind of like wrap up my part, and then Emily can tell you, because I feel bad that we haven't heard Emily talk too much. I'm just a talker. So Nick and I were super interested. We watched all the shows, Ghost Hunters, Ghost Adventures, Destination Fear at that time. And we were like, we want to do this too. So I was going to join a team, and I asked around in New Jersey about teams, got in contact with people, and for lack of a better term, was kind of blown off.
Right.
And I wanted to just be kind of pointed in the right direction. They wouldn't even give me that. They would say like, oh, well, you've only done public investigations. That's totally different than like a private investigation, which, yeah, I get it. I understand that. But like, you don't have to be, a jerk about it.
Yeah,
Dismissive.
Mm-hmm.
So then I said, well, my sister's into it. My best friend's into it. Let's just start our own. Yeah. And then Emily, you can kind of tell them what you did.
And after we kind of brought up the idea, we kind of like round up like six people that were in our friend group, and I went on Amazon and bought like these little cheap cameras, and those cameras worked, but they definitely gave us a hard time because the audio would cut out randomly, and like it was just the fact that we spent, I think we bought like 4 cameras.
Right.
And it costed like $100 altogether. And we went to Penhurst for like a private investigation. Like we paid like, I don't even know how much a private investigation was. I think it was over like $1,000 for our overnight. And we're in there with like these $25 cameras, and we're acting like it was just a mess.
But there's so much learning in that too, and learning that you don't always have to have the most expensive equipment to do an investigation. That those go old school with like compasses or dowsing rods, even.
Yeah.
Those things. And what kind of experience you're wanting to have and slowly build up. I think a lot of people start with K2 meters too, because it's on the lower end and a little more accessible. And Polaroid cameras, the more the different cameras you have, the better, right? And
yeah.
Anyway, sorry. Let's see. Thank you, Nick, for sticking in the chat and keeping adding to the conversation. Nick is saying Emily is the one who pushed us to be a team and got us moving. That's awesome.
Yeah, the one who was not with the paranormal. I'm still scared till this day of it. I don't know what it is.
But I think being scared and facing it, like scared and still doing it, is still showing respect, is still having a sense of wonder. And that's what I think. We always have to have a sense of wonder, Like we can't, think that we know it all. And I understand and appreciate, Ryan, like when you're saying there's, people that dismiss, and even if they were more transparent, if people would be more transparent, hey, look, we're an established team and we don't have the time or the energy to teach somebody new right now, then you could take that on the chin. Like that's at least something is respected, like respectable, and it's transparent. It may hurt, but at least it's honest. When someone's just rude, then it doesn't, I don't know. I get a bit of an FU attitude when stuff like that happens, and I'm like, I'll show you. I'm just going to go do it. That's what you did, right?
That's basically what we did. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the most difficult part when we were forming the team is definitely trying to work together. We did hit a couple bumps during that time, which, it happens. Some people just can't work together as others when we're trying to, grow a business, I guess, which you would call it. But
it's I mean, even if you take the word business out and it's a team, you have to feel safe with the people that you are working with. You have to feel like everybody's got each other's back, and there has to be some kind of flow of energy that bounces back and forth where you work really well and understand each other, because sometimes you're communicating and not even talking out loud. You should be able to toss a look, or even by body language, somebody that's in that group understands that you're not in a good space and knows how to respond and support the other person in that, right? Yep. And we're not all good at everything. There's always going to be that tech person, someone that knows how to ask the questions right. Like everybody's got their own niche, and it needs to fit like a puzzle piece.
Yeah. Yep. I agree.
Emily is our ghost bait.
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny. You're the trigger object, being sticky.
Yeah, because I show the most fear, and the spirits just see me as a light bulb at this point. So.
Right. That's funny. So I just want to get through some of this. I'm really sorry. Thank you for being here though, and hanging out and watching and listening to the show. But we're not doing readings today. But thanks for being here. Teresa's just saying, I've wanted to form a team here in Ontario, Canada. Just finding one person to go with you.
Yeah, it only takes one person.
My best advice is just do it.
Yep.
Yeah. And Nick is saying he's the one that never reacts. Does everybody agree with that?
Yes.
I've seen him react to things. Wasn't really paranormal, but we didn't know at the time.
Right.
So basically, I always said if I saw Nick react to something big happened.
Right.
Because it's funny. It's like you have Emily who will react to pretty much any noise. I'm more of like I'll hear it, notice it, and then kind of try to figure out like, okay, what was that? That's kind of weird. And
right.
Nick is very like stoic in the way he carries himself.
Right.
And we were at Hillview Manor, and we had it was me, Nick, and Emily walking down this hallway, and Emily was in the front. I was in the middle, kind of next to Nick, and all I had for a light was a little IR camera. So I'm looking through a lens, screen that's like that big, and I can see Emily in front of me. And when she turns the corner, she screams and like drops to the floor. So I'm thinking like something's standing there or whatever. So I like fall back into the wall, and Nick does the same thing. And Nick's like all tense up against the wall like that. And we're like, what, like, what's wrong? And it was a bat.
Oh,
that flew at her.
Yeah, that still would scare me too, though.
But she screamed. We didn't expect it. And I can't see anything. I didn't even know where I was.
So it's learning how to scream what it is. Spider!
Like, oh, no. This was just like a murderous scream. It was so bad.
Oh. But funny.
It was
funny. And that's the thing. Like when you get scared and then you laugh, right? But I think sometimes that charges up the energy in the space too when you have those big reactions, or whether it's laughing or a scream. I think that stuff,
oh yeah, most definitely
amps things up in a space.
Our biggest noises have come from times that we're not actually like in flying puppies. I always tell her that. I'm like, the bats are so cute. I don't know why you're scared of them. But yeah, the biggest noises we've ever heard have come from times where we're not actively investigating. Like we could just kind of be standing there talking to each other. Right. And then like something loud happens.
So I find that interesting too. Like when I exactly, Deb. Deb is just saying, "Oh my God, flying puppies!" Responding to Nick's comment. Snooky girls. Non-thinking moments. That's what I tell people all the time. Like when you're wanting a sign from the other side, like sign from your loved ones that are there, it's always going to happen in a non-thinking moment when your thoughts are somewhere else and not hyper-focused and trying to control what's going on in that moment, then something's always going to happen.
And yes. I'm like 100% sure they know when you're recording.
Oh, and when you're not?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they know.
So you get your group together. Did you have a list of of places, like top of list where you wanted to start, and or where you wanted to go first?
Yeah, once we formed the team, we went back to Pennhurst because that's, the only thing that was kind of on our mind at the time. And then after Pennhurst, we went to Fort Mifflin. And then from there, we just started planning more and more. And here we are today. So went to so many places so far.
So when you go back to Pennhurst for that first time after having, so Ryan, you having worked there and then approaching it from, a different standpoint, your mentality and your thought is different. And if you thought about, those spirits they might not have liked the idea of having a haunted attraction in there, and you were part of that haunted attraction. Now you're going in there. So, did you think about that going in? Or how would you talk to those spirits that first time going in? How did that feel, I guess?
So, I mean, with the haunted attraction, like, I get why we do it. Like, it's money to save
Oh,
places
yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
The city that Pennhurst is in, Spring City, Pennsylvania, they do not like that place, and they've been trying for years to tear it down for apartment buildings. So their Halloween attraction is most of the money that they get to preserve that place, and they've actually like built a museum with some of the original things. They still have their pictures,
Right.
People's like stuffed animals for kids and all that. So like I get it. But when we went back there, I treat all the spirits like this. I just talk to them like a regular human being.
Yeah. Well, because they were.
Yeah.
And I think that people forget that sometimes,
And you'll see people. What did Nick say? I always paid my respects to the spirits every time I came and left. Yep. Yeah, that's another thing, is like people have this infatuation of taking things from these places.
Yeah.
Tell me more. So they think it's okay. They're just going to pick up a rock or a piece of brick from the corner, or like, what do you mean take something?
I've seen people like take original things from these places.
Do you think that there's more education needed? And again, if we're coming back to security, is it about security needing to keep an eye on stuff like that a little more? Educating people about why that's not one, it's historical heritage too, disrespectful. You don't really know if you're bringing home a spirit with you at the same time too. Do you know how to deal with that? If you're opening a door, do you know how to close it? Like there's lots to discuss.
Definitely like needing more education, like when people just go there, you know what I mean? Like when people go for like the haunted attraction, I feel like there needs to be like an education tour, like knowing why this place was the way it was and why you shouldn't take things from here and how historic it is. So that's just kind of my opinion. I think there just needs to be a little bit more education wrapped in it.
Yeah,
and respect.
Yeah.
I find that sad and mind-boggling. And I guess if you don't think that way, it's hard to wrap your head around, right? That you have to educate people that way. Nick is chiming in. Please don't take original objects from location. Spirits could be attached to it.
Yep, don't take them.
And again, opening a door. That
some people like that though. They're like, oh, I want to have like this attachment. But that's all good and dandy until it's something malevolent, and now you can't get rid of it.
Can they create it to be benevolent too, right? Like if they're taking this spirit home, it may not start off benevolent, but then it doesn't understand where it's landed and is needing that attention and support or somebody to help it get back to where it needs to be. So, just like any other person. So, you take the wrong turn and now you're lost, and now you're getting irritated because you're lost. No one's helping you get back where you need to go. So sometimes it sounds like it's malevolent, but it's maybe not as well too. I mean, there's, again, if we're playing the what if game, there's that what if scenario that, sometimes the malevolent isn't necessarily malevolent. It's just trying to get somebody's attention, and it's done it in so many subtle ways. So now it needs to do something big and mean in order to get attention. Like the little kid in the back of the car. Are we there yet? Are you paying attention to me now? How about now? How about now? How about now?
Yeah, I was told that I have I went to see a medium, and I was told that I have a attachment, and he's from Pennhurst, and it's a little boy. I've never experienced them, but Emily does.
He doesn't like me. He does not like me.
So how do you experience that? If it's Ryan's attachment, how do you experience it?
So sometimes Ryan goes away for his job because he works for the government, and he travels sometimes, and he has cats at home and a snake that I have to take care of when he's gone. And I go over there one time and I'm like, Ryan, why do you have a mirror facing your bed? I'm like, as number one, you don't use a mirror when you're sleeping. Like, there's no need for that. I think a lot of people understand that. And Ryan's like, oh, I never had anything happen. I'm like, okay. So I just left it alone, and I slept over, and I woke up at 3 a.m. and I saw something standing in the corner, and I immediately screamed. It was like 4'8", and I immediately turned on the light. I screamed. I called my dad. I said, Dad, there's somebody in this apartment. And he's like, no, there's not. No, there's not. Just put the light on. So I put the TV on 62, watching like a kid's show, and I kept the light on. And the next day, I threw a sheet over the mirror, and I turned it the other way. And ever since that, I will never sleep over ever again.
Oh, that's interesting. But
And didn't he open a door on you too?
Yeah, that was actually a couple months ago. I went over just to feed his cats because I told myself I will not sleep over there again, and I didn't. I haven't.
Sometimes if it's just there hanging out, you just give it the rules. We can coexist. Here's the rules.
And Ryan does that for when he leaves. He's like, be nice to my sister. She's coming out, and she's gonna come help the cats and the snake. And I go over there, and I'm sitting on the couch just minding my business, and I hear the door creak open. It's like, and I'm like, that's the closet door. Why is it opening? So I immediately started crying. I called Nick. I'm like, Nick, there's somebody in here. He's like, what are you talking about? It was so bad. Oh.
He never bothers.
I think it's just,
he never bothers me though. I've never had an experience here.
So interesting. So you've not tried to figure out maybe what he's needing or what he's wanting? If he's
so I was told that he just likes to stick around here because he sees me as an older brother.
Yeah.
And that he's like super happy that he that I went to the medium and they were able to tell me like what he is, and they say he bounces a ball and he likes to cause like mischief. Like he's a prankster.
That's probably what he was doing.
You stick some chocolate in the corner with the here you go, we're gonna like bribe you a bit. No, Emily?
But then it was interesting because I was told, and it makes sense, that he doesn't leave the apartment. He doesn't follow me. Yeah.
So when I have to go over there and feed the cats, I walk in and I say, leave me alone. I don't want any issues with you. Just leave me alone.
That still sounds like a sibling relationship. Like combative sibling relationship. So I'm sorry, Melissa. I know that you had asked up here. I'll just put it up. You had asked about Savannah, Georgia. And we had that question a little bit earlier too, so you might have not seen it. So I'll just put it up here because I see that Nick is responding to you as well too. Savannah, Georgia has a lot of activity. Have you been there? So you guys haven't been there as a group, correct?
Not yet.
Not yet
was the response. And thanks, Nick, for responding to Melissa. He's just saying I visit there every year when I drive to Disney. I did a ghost hunt tour when I was there. Really interesting places in history. Melissa is just chiming in on that.
So we have like a bucket list, right? Of haunted places that we want to film at. So we already did one of them, and that was Sweet Spring Sanatorium in West Virginia. Emily is in nursing school, so she wasn't able to make that investigation. So we are going to go back and do a round 2 at that place.
Right.
But in July, we have Trans-Allegheny Lunatic Asylum.
Right.
We're planning on the Conjuring House, Hinsdale House.
Hinsdale House is something else too.
You ever hear of the Garnett House?
Mm-mm.
In Kansas? It's supposed to, So for everyone watching, we are very careful with the demon word. We use it very sparingly. But the Garnett House is said to have something that is not human.
Right.
And like I said, we're very careful when using that word. But if a place has the history and like that's their story, then we will tell their story. But we don't just go to a place and then like a REM pod goes off and you're like, label the video like demon. No, we don't do all that.
Yes. You're not looking for the clicks.
No.
And that was actually something I had wrote down too. And having that name Paranormal Theory, being open to all the different theories and the what ifs. Could it be this? Could it be this? And that's like, I've investigated a place where it's the first word that comes up through as spirit box, and it's not. It is a grumpy spirit that does not want anybody in that space, and he gets intimidating and aggressive and up in your right at you, and he's not a demon, but he says he is. And not saying that I don't believe in that. I just think there also has to be some a different approach, just because they say it's there. And then what energy are you feeding into it as well too? So if everyone going there is believing that that's what it is, and we're all are we creating that entity to be one because we're all putting our energy into it?
And we had that. Didn't we have that happen at Mid Orange, Emily? Remember we were in that cottage and it said demon?
Yeah.
And Satan and all that.
Yeah, that freaked me out.
And then it threw a rock.
Yeah.
Like kind of at us. But like you said, it's not demonic. It's something that's trying to scare you.
Yeah.
Yeah. What, Garnett House? I'm going to look it up later.
Yeah, it's in Kansas. And it was, I believe it was a hotel before. It was a bunch of things. But it's most well known for poltergeist activity. Like a lot of the dolls that they have get thrown onto the floor. They have an attic space where this thing is supposed to live. And there's tons of videos of just dolls being thrown from the top of the attic. Like, and you just see it like hit the floor.
And also creepy.
It's like one of Nick's like favorite places. And he's been like begging me to go. And Emily was kind of like, I don't know. And I'm like, Nick, I'll go with you. Just let me know when we have to fly out there. But we want to do the Garnett House and the Sally House on the same trip because they're both in Kansas, pretty close to each other.
Right.
So those places.
So those bucket lists.
Yeah. And a personal favorite of mine, the Goldfield Hotel. I want to get out there.
Right. And
so
what pulls you? Do you feel that places or locations can call to you? Do you think that those spirits, if we believe or are open to that idea that we're all interconnected, those spirits are all going to be all interconnected as well too? Can they be calling to you to get to those places?
Absolutely. And I've been to places where I'll have like dreams after of like going back to that place, and we'll use that during our investigation, being like, why did you like show me this and all that? Pennhurst is one of those places that I like always think about. I don't know why. It may be because it got me into the paranormal, really.
Right.
Like that was kind of like our thing where we started, but
But if that little boy there's that little boy also contributing to, if there's a little boy in spirit that's connected to Pennhurst, is that part of, what the dreams are about or how that's coming up for you?
Yeah, it could be. Yeah.
That's interesting. Emily, do you have a place that you feel pulled to?
Trans-Allegheny. It's weird. I always think about Trans-Allegheny Lunatic Asylum. That's why I was kind of begging Ryan. I'm like, Ryan, let's go. Like, let's get the show on the road. Like,
right.
I don't know what it is. I'm just very attracted to it.
And Nick, And if you're still with us in the chat, is there a place that calls to you that you think about a lot or want to go back to, or haven't been yet but you want to get pulled to?
Guarantee says Garnett House.
He may not be here.
I don't know, but yeah, and I find it super interesting because it's like you ever go into these places and have like a deja vu moment where it's kind of like I feel like I've been here before.
So not yet, but I know that I will, because I have a dream about one particular place and a well-known singer that shows up in that dream all the time, and I had no idea what it was even about. And then I started seeing stuff online and it started showing up all over the place. So I haven't had that experience yet, I would say.
Yeah, and it seems like familiar. I've had that happen a couple times. And I could be overthinking it. I don't know, but it's like with anything, we kind of take everything with a grain of salt and until it all makes sense.
But if it's so, those deja vu moments, or you feel like you've already been there, if there's alternate realities, alternate dimensions, if it's a past life, reincarnation, if you've been there, there's so many what ifs to those, where you think that you've been there before. Michelle, I'm sorry, we're just going to get here for you. I'm an empath and have had multiple ghost encounters. It scares the crap out of me. Boundaries, you have boundaries. This little light of mine, if your light is bright, sometimes they're just looking to be heard, right? So letting them know when you're on and when you're not. I want to learn how to properly cleanse my place so it's safe. There's lots of different people that can... Do you guys protect yourselves before you go in? Do you think of it that way? Do you have certain rituals or protection? Do you think about that before you go in, or cleansing after you leave? It's okay if you don't, because I don't necessarily, depending on the activity that happens in a place. I have some liquid smudge, so it doesn't feel like I'm, having to light a smudge so I can have like a clam bake in my car, but it's like this liquid smudge that I'll spray, or even at big events when I'm doing big events, if the energy feels super heavy. But it's usually just stating, you guys are not allowed to come home with me.
Yeah, that's what we normally do. Sometimes when I come home, if I just feel off, I'll spray my room with sage and spray myself with it. I have like a bottle of it. You'd spray it anywhere. So I sometimes will do that if I feel uneasy when I get home.
And I'm going to kind of speak for Nick here, but I believe he has some type of jewelry that he wears for his protection. And I am very big on mindset, right? So
I agree with you.
I go into these places, and again, we're careful with the word, but say we went to a place that was demonic, all the way up to your regular run-of-the-mill haunts. And my mindset is, you can communicate with me, whatever you want to do. But at the end of the night, you're staying here and you're not coming with me because I said so.
Right.
And I believe if you're 100% believing what you're saying, then that's enough. But it's different for everybody. It's whatever makes you feel safe.
Exactly. And I think it also, if you have what your background is, maybe cultural beliefs are, if you have a religious background, everybody is going to approach it differently and what feels comfortable for them. And there's no right or wrong, right? There really is no right or wrong. And I think that being open and fluid to changing, because when you start, especially if there's not been any guidance in teaching, because I didn't necessarily have that either, and I didn't have a lot of people that wanted me at the time, because I was a medium, and they didn't want that aspect as part of their team. They just wanted that scientific approach, and not knowing that it could benefit both ways, right? If I'm hearing something and you guys are asking questions totally left field that's not going to get you the responses, but I'm picking up on, the way to guide you to get there. It was just sad to me that somebody like me was left out. It's way different now than what it was, 16 years ago, but
yeah. And we just worked on our investigation that will come out on our YouTube channel on Monday. We worked with a psychic medium, Bianca Rose, and it's super interesting the things that she was picking up on that she would just tell me, and then through the spirit box or our spirit talker, whatever, that would come up.
right.
It would all correlate.
And I love that when you have 2 or 3 pieces of information that's validating what the medium is getting as well too. It just, to me, it adds to the credibility, and it adds to the experience of it, right?
Yeah, and she described, the weirdest thing was she described my grandma, and we have there's no pictures of her on the internet, because I know a lot of people can be like, well, she probably can look that up and all that kind of. There aren't pictures. And she told us things that she would have no business knowing about. That'll fly. So that was pretty cool.
And that comes out Monday. You guys are
Yep.
You've done all your editing. You're going to upload it on Monday.
I'm finishing it. I do all the editing.
Because that's a whole other part to it, right? Michelle is just saying, I get deja vu a lot, and I constantly dream a lot almost every night. You guys, that you can also ask for a night off with that too, right? Like if you're getting a lot of stuff or downloads, interactions, astral traveling, any of that stuff, you can ask your divine team to give you the night off that you don't want. You just need a night so that you're not grumpy in the morning and can face the day. But on Saturday, if they want to come in, they can come in Saturday. You can set those rules and boundaries.
It almost seems like they're trying to give her a message.
Yeah. For sure, give a message, but also, if she has this little light of mind and she's an empath, if she's not stating, this is too much for me, they think that what they're doing is okay and it's working. So they just keep doing it more. So you have to tell them this isn't working for me.
Yep.
Joanna's just saying, I have an Indigenous background. I have been a gateway at a very young age. What do you think you've learned? How have you grown as an investigator from the time you started to where you're at now?
Definitely having a more open-minded to things. Going in open-minded.
Going in open-minded?
Yeah, because I used to, how I told you, I didn't really believe in the paranormal, but now I keep my mind open to this kind of stuff because I've had the experiences, and it's just cool to keep noticing it and taking it in and putting puzzle pieces together. I have such an open mind now about this stuff.
Do you think, Emily, that you've grown more sensitive and more aware?
Yes, a lot more sensitive. Yes.
Because I think that happens for a lot of investigators as time goes by. You become more sensitive and going, yep, this feels like there's something in the room, or I feel pulled in this direction. You start paying attention to it a little bit more. Yep. I truly believe it is a muscle, and you use it or you lose it. And the more that you use it, the more that you get.
Yep.
As far as spirits go.
And you learned that you were an empath.
Yeah. We
you didn't know that.
Yeah, I had no clue. I was in, what do they call it? An empath. And I was and then I started reading books about it, and I just became so much more sensitive to everything.
You're in nursing.
I know.
So I'm just going to tell you, if Deb Morse is still here, you can chime in, because Deb's background is also nursing, also a medium, and then went in. She is also a lawyer as well too. So
wow.
Yeah, she
got everything.
She totally does. She is brilliant in every way. But a lot of any of the nurses that I've met are all empath in one way, and intuition plays a big part with your job, right?
Yep.
Do you guys have? So you know what? We're just going to do the station ID now because we're at the top of the hour. So I'm going to do the station ID, and we do have some video clips and some pictures. If you guys wanted to, we can do that after I do the station ID. That sounds good. Okay.
Yeah.
So if you guys are just joining us, thank you so much for being here. You are listening to Spirit Switchboard. I am your host, Kerrilynn Shellhorn, and you are listening to us live on the United Public Radio Network 105.3 and 107.7 FM in beautiful New Orleans. And today on the show, we have paranormal investigative group Paranormal Theory. Emily and Ryan, and Nick was here earlier in the chat. So we were just talking about the video clips. I don't know where you want to start. If you want to.
You could throw one up on the screen, I guess, just not start.
Are they all from different places?
Two of them are from the same place.
So why don't we start with the one, Ryan, where I have it labeled Ryan, so it's a picture of you explaining and leading up. So if I put that one up first, would that be all right?
Yeah.
Okay. There we go. Thanks for being patient, everybody.
So you want me to give like a little background on it?
Yeah. Can you set it up for us?
Yeah. So we were the second team to have ever investigate this place. It is a farmhouse in Pennsylvania. We personally know the owner. The first team to investigate it was Katrina and Heather Taddy on their new YouTube. I think it's called Travel the Dead. And they were the first team to investigate it. And then a couple months later, we got invited to investigate this farmhouse. It dates all the way back into the 1700s.
Wow.
So God only knows how many families have lived there. But the owner, Bryn, has a horse stable. And inside the horse stable is a security camera that only goes off when it detects motion. So this video will be, and I believe we're the only people that have ever gotten this footage. So this might be like a premiere to the world right here, other than us.
Really?
Yeah. So
that's
congrats.
Brilliant. Thank you for letting us be a part of that.
Yeah. But this was, so basically the camera went off and it started recording because it detected motion, and you're going to hear probably the loudest music you've ever heard. And the owner, who I know personally, like they're a family friend of ours, so there's no reason for her to ever lie to us about something like this. You're going to hear music, and it sounds like it's from like the 40s.
So I listened to that, and I don't even know if that's the 40s. I think it's earlier than that.
Yeah, I don't know.
1920s is where I thought, or I picked up.
It's super creepy though. If you've ever seen like the movie Insidious, it reminds me of that.
It is.
This video gives me the chills.
Okay, it's ready.
Just investigated a haunted farm where we were the second team ever allowed to film there. Listen to this music that the homeowner caught on their security camera. No one was home, mind you.
And like there's no radio in there that would have picked up on a station like that. No.
I don't even know if it, like, say there was a radio in there, where are they picking up that music? Because I've never heard that on the radio before.
Yeah.
It'd be interesting to find out what song that was.
Have you tried to search?
I've tried to listen to it and like pick up on some words, and I know like the one part it's like up, up, up we go, and that's all I can really like gather from it.
My friend Lorraine, who is musical theater is her jive. She just finished directing a play, and she is saying that music is early 1900s, and that's what I thought too. And my friend Joni with Astrology Meets True Crime is also saying 1920s or 30s. We can do that. Let's play it one more time.
Yeah,
we just investigated a haunted farm where we were the second team ever allowed to film there. Listen
It's
to this
wild.
music
This
that
music's
the homeowner
crazy.
caught on their
By the way, I
security
hate
camera.
watching myself.
No one was home, mind you.
And a lot of times that music was attached to like a movie, right? They were all musical movies at that point.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but if that ever came over my security cameras, I would burn my house down.
But it's funny because the reports at this place, even before we investigated it, because I've kind of known about this place before it was on a TV show or on a YouTube show when Katrina and Heather were there. It was super residual. Like they would see the same figure in the same spot all the time. Noises that like upstairs. So when she's feeding her horses in there, she's heard her name being called, which would show intelligence.
Yeah.
And she would turn around thinking like someone's there, and like no one's there. But also the horses' ears would perk up and the horses would look. So the animals are picking up on it too.
Yeah. And horses are super intuitive as well too. So let's just hit some of these comments up. So Haven Williams is saying sounds similar to opera of some sort. Lorraine is chiming in, up in the air we go is what I hear. Sounds like a record playing.
That's what I thought. Like one of those like a
those
vinyl
old
with like
fashioned
that horn looking thing.
Yeah. Joni's like, oh hell no, I would move.
On that one.
Let's just give me 1 second here. That's oh my goodness. We're just gonna get rid of some of this. My friends, so Joni, I'm using Howie's term and we're flushing the toilet and getting rid of this person who's like spamming everybody at the moment. And then we're just gonna get going. You just gotta flush the toilet for a minute.
We've had some funny comments on our YouTube videos. And when we first started, Emily would like contact me and be like, did you see what this person said? And I'm like, yeah, I saw what they said. And she's like, well, are you going to delete it? I'm like, no, they comment. It's helping in the algorithm. I'm like, sure.
Yeah, you don't have to give it energy. That's for sure.
I'm only presenting what we captured.
This is it, right?
It's up to the audience to, you can say like, oh, well, like they're faking it and all that. And if I was ever going to fake anything, which I never would, it'd be a lot better than the things that we have. I'd have doors flying open. I'd be thrown backwards. Like, no.
This is it. And people, I think, think we have so much time on our hands. We do not have that much time on our hands to try to do all of that.
Yeah, and for anyone who's never edited like a full, just say an hour video on YouTube, this takes me 25 to 30 hours of video.
And you're going through all the evidence that you captured. So multiple equipment, multiple cameras and equipment and recording devices, however many that you had as well too. It's a lot. Sue, you got the right word. Thank you so much. Gramophone. I adore you. That's gramophone. It. Very cool. It does sound like a gramophone. Thank you, Joni. I'm glad that you're here. My detective person friend.
I really hope he finds out the song. I would love to know the song that was being played.
It even like has the tone of it coming from the gramophone. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you can hear like the crackling. And we were there. They don't have like a thing, like a gramophone just sitting in the horse barn.
Oh, I'm really sorry, Lorraine. I'm just seeing it. Do they know the history of the farm? She's just asking.
Yeah, so like I said, it dates back to the 1700s. They're not sure of every single family that has lived there. There has been one case of a person, we're on the radio, so unaliving themselves.
Right.
Um,
Thank you for knowing that's how we need to do that.
yeah, well, YouTube's the same way. You can't say that word.
Yeah.
Then there was the horse barn used to be, I believe, a like butcher shop at one time. And then it turned into a stable, and it was always a stable for like over like 100 years after that. Wonder if you can imagine.
And I know the last owner that lived there, didn't Bryn say he treated his horses he was very neglecting towards his horses.
Yes. And she believes that's one of the spirits that's still there, and we caught evidence of that. Emily did. She got put under for an Estes method, and it was coming through. I think it said like horses, and then Bryn's the owner. Bryn was saying like, yeah, I know, like you weren't like nice to the horses and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
So I thought it was just weird that we got the word horses through there.
Lorraine is saying Sweeney Todd. If you don't know Sweeney Todd, you can check it out later. But I don't think the music is Sweeney Todd. But you're gonna scare Emily when she figures out what Sweeney Todd's all about, and she's not gonna want to go back to the barn.
Please don't scare me right now.
Yeah, for sure.
And I believe I sent you a picture that was captured from that farm.
So, is that with the outside, not
yes,
okay, so let me see. You guys are like, thank you for being patient, and thank you for being on, because this is the first time I'm like maneuvering, doing all of this all on my own, and I haven't messed up yet, so we're doing good.
Yeah, fine.
Because I was, yeah.
Yeah, that place was an interesting investigation.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see if we can. Make it bigger. This is the one, Ryan?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Like I saw it right away. I don't know if you want me to keep going and making it bigger. You can just see it right there. So,
and to us, that's always like the hallmark of a good picture is you don't have to point it out.
No. And I didn't even have to enlarge it either when I got that.
So the story behind this is the same farmhouse, and Bryn, the owner, it was like a night that it was like kind of foggy and the moon was out. And in the bottom of the picture, like the original one I sent you, you can kind of see like there's a horse. Yeah, see the horse at the bottom. That's one of her horses.
Right. Yeah.
So she was trying to get her horses in this picture with the moon over top of them. And she said she took like a bunch of pictures knowing like some would come out like kind of crappy and all that. And
right.
So she's swiping through, deleting pictures, and she came to this picture and she was like, what is that? And as you can see, right in front of that tree appears to be a full-bodied apparition.
And that makes the music creepier. Like this picture with the music is horror movie worthy.
So this picture was given to Katrina Weidman. I'm pretty sure that's how you say your last name, Katrina. I apologize if you ever see this. I got it wrong. And Heather Taddy when they investigated. They took this picture to their people, and it came back that they could find no wrongdoing in the picture, meaning that it was not messed with. This was taken, and what you see is legit what
Yeah.
was captured.
And if she was taking pictures in succession, right? So it wasn't, you would have that before and after.
She said she took like 80 to 100 pictures, just like real quick going through.
Right.
And that was the only one that had that in it. The coolest thing about it is the woman that unalived herself.
Right.
Her name was Ginger. I can't give the last name
Yep.
out of respect for the family because they kind of still live around that area.
Yep.
But that would have been in the area where they found her because she did this on the property.
That doesn't have does that have a female energy to you?
I think it is. Yeah, it looks like a
Yeah.
female wearing like a nightgown kind of thing.
Nightgown?
So
Yeah.
on our spirit talker,
Yeah.
Emily and I knew about the woman
The
and her name.
experience. Mhm.
Nick and a person that was investigating with us at the time didn't know anything about it.
Right.
Through the Spirit Talker app, it's a $4 app that you can buy. I was super skeptical about it,
Right.
but it came through and it said Ginger. I have never heard that app ever say that. And then it said in the trees, and that's where her body was found. They knew nothing about it. So when they got it, they were kind of like, that's weird. And then they told me, later on, and I'm like, hold on, wait, what did it say?
Yeah.
And I told them about the
it.
story.
When it all combines together, right?
Yeah.
Like when you have multiple equipment picking up. And especially, so is that something as a team, does one person know maybe the history going in and not everybody? Does everybody know the history? Do you research before a little bit? Do you find out after? How does that process work for you?
I'm big on research, so I do most of the bookings and everything. And once we book a place, I like to watch other investigations that have been there, along with obviously the history of the location that I'm going into, because I want to know what I'm walking into.
Yep.
That particular investigation, Nick is usually there for the interview, but he wasn't because he was helping the person who was with us. They had car trouble, so he was out helping her, and he wasn't there to learn about the history, at least that deep into it.
Right. Lorraine is asking, which, don't apologize for asking questions. I'm really grateful that everybody's here participating in the show. So she's asking, when did she alive herself? Do you know when?
So this would have been, I want to say mid 1900s.
I don't know the exact date though.
Yeah, I don't either.
Everybody saw it just right away.
Yeah, and I mean, like I said, we take pictures, and the only time we would ever bring pictures up front as evidence is if we captured a picture to where you can see it right away. Because, you could take a picture and your mind is going to try to make faces out of it. There's a word for that. I forget the word. Yes. It's going to make it look familiar. And that's just the human instinct, right?
And we can do it with audio as well, too.
Yeah.
So, sometimes you need that second opinion to really make sure. And a lot of times when it's coming through, it's so loud, there's no denying what that is. It's not, you don't have to strain to get it. Melissa, can you tell me what that link is?
The one at Pennhurst, that shadow figure we caught in that window was scary.
Yeah, that's I believe I sent that to her.
Yep, we can do that one next if you'd like. Joni is just saying the Abits back then literally would tell the story of what happened.
So the death of the girl was kind of hidden.
Oh, Melissa, you found it? The song from the farm?
Oh, I'm not listening to that. No, I'm good.
Can you guys, I don't know how to. We're just
I
going
don't-
to. What does that have? Oh, okay. So I starred that. I don't know if you guys can
Yeah, I see that. I don't want to
go
click on it
back
'cause I
in.
don't know if it's going to kick me out.
You are a rock star, Melissa.
I don't even know how she. I didn't even know how she found it.
You are part of the team.
Yeah, you're
We need to
hired.
get you
You're hired.
co-hosting.
You're hired.
I can't listen to that song because then I'll start hearing it when I'm doing random stuff and I'm going to start singing it. People are going to get
Can
creeped
you?
out.
Does it give what the name of the song is, Melissa? Can you maybe type that into the comments? I'm just because I'm not confident that I'm gonna make things go sideways if I click on that where it's gonna go. So that's wild.
Yeah, I would like to know the name of the song and when it's from.
Maybe that song will explain a lot of the history, possibly. Come, Josephine.
That just sounds like an old title of a song.
That just sounds horrible. It sounds scary. If I'm reading it correctly.
Sorry, we'll just get this other photo lined up for you. Come,
Okay.
Josephine, in my flying machine. 1910.
Oh my god.
1910?
Blanche Ring, 1910. We're all going to be looking it up after.
Yeah. But I guess that kind of takes
Oh,
away, like,
can you, Joni? That would be pretty cool too. So Joni does forensic astrology. So
okay.
she takes those traumatic events and she looks up the events through the astrological lens. She said, if you
Mhm.
get a date, I can always do an astrology event chart. It will tell you something if you can get the date. You guys will have to hook up with Joni because she'll be able to help
Yeah,
fill in some of the gaps of information. Haven is saying if you look up Blanche Ring, she's in a white dress as well too in the photos online.
You're going to tell Bryn this.
Yeah. So this is at Penhurst.
Do you want me to bring that up a little bit more?
I mean, I
can see it. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
Story from this one was, I believe, our second time investigating Penhurst. And usually when we're there, we'll take pictures and video for B-roll.
Right.
And the teammate at the time, the original picture was a picture of the whole building. Took a picture of the whole building, walked off, did whatever for more B-roll and all that. When we were going through the pictures in the editing process, he was like, wait, what is that? And we zoomed in and this is what we saw.
Wow, eh?
And to me, that looks like a man.
Yeah.
That is just staring at us. But it's super weird because it's like almost like half of his face isn't there, or it's darker than the rest.
It's shadowed on that one side for sure.
So we also went back to this same location, took a picture in the same type of weather, same hour in the day, and all that, to make sure it wasn't the sun reflecting off of something, kind of giving a figure. And when we took that picture, there's nothing there. It just looks like an ordinary window.
Right.
So we tried to debunk it.
Yeah. And that's always good. One of my best friends, we do this thing called we call it the Pioneer Cemetery Crawl through the summer. So we investigate the Pioneer cemeteries, and she caught this photo, and I call it a hellhound. I don't know what else it was, but and she did the same thing. Like we went back same time of day the next day. She took a picture. There's like no shadow, no nothing. And it looks like a hellhound. That's what it looks like. We caught something.
Yeah. And I mean, these pictures, like we took this picture. That is the only time we've ever captured something like that. Like, I just want to stress
Wow.
like how rare
It is.
those things are. Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't think people necessarily realize either. You do an overnight. If you do an overnight, you may get 2 or 3 pieces of something that's really good. And there's still hours of time where nothing is happening.
Yeah.
You are doing a coffee run, a snack break, got to go to the bathroom, keep awake. Like, there's lots. It's, there's a lot to it where
Yeah.
nothing's going
Our
on
next
too.
video for Sweet Springs Sanatorium that comes out Monday on our YouTube channel. That video, I want to use the right word for it. You're going to see what an investigation, like a true investigation, looks like. Because did we capture evidence? Yeah, it's really cool evidence, but it was also a slower night.
Right.
And that's
then
what happens in real investigations. Like, it's not
exactly.
Yeah.
And it's hit and miss in planning. So we're trying this theory, we're trying this approach, and this isn't working. Do we need to change our approach? Do we need to readjust or realign? Or wait it out. Maybe it's just going to be one of those nights where they're not wanting to.
Yeah.
There's one place that I used to go to frequently, and you would just know, okay, it's a hide and seek night tonight. And and that's exactly what would happen. There'd be nothing, and you'd hear a noise at the opposite end. We'd go down to the opposite end, nothing, and then the noise is back over here on the other side. So it's like they're just toying with you, right?
Yeah. And they're not there for your entertainment, right?
No.
So
No.
I think a lot of people, if they're going to get started into paranormal investigating, they have to just, I guess, kind of set your expectations. I don't want to say low, but like,
I say high intention, low attachment. Have a high intention. You're going in with the right attitude, and just to have whatever the experience is going to be with no attachment to what the end outcome is.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's the best way to do it.
Because like I said, we've experienced like our craziest things when we're not really paying attention. Like we could just be like taking a bathroom break, or for example, at Sweet Springs, they have in their gear room, they have like beds made up so people can actually like take naps or sleep before they leave or whatever. So it was probably 5 a.m, and we were laying down for an hour before we had to drive home. It's about a 6-hour drive. And everyone else is asleep except for me. And I'm like laying on the couch, and there was this huge bang, like a crash from the 3rd floor right above the gear room. And I mean, this thing was so loud that it shook the walls. And I thought someone was trying to break in. So I'll get up, and like we're kind of like looking around. We're like, all right, well, there's no sign of like someone trying to break in. But that was like, it was like a super slow night. And then it's kind of like you're not paying attention to it. And just randomly at 5 a.m, that sound happens.
Wow.
So I don't know what it was. Our cameras, unfortunately, were not running at that time. So it's kind of just a fishing story.
Maybe that's what they wanted, right? They just wanted you to know, yep, we were here the whole time. We were here the whole time.
They're going to do what they want when they want. You just have to be in the right spot at the right time. Yeah.
And Nick is back. He's saying, be honored for everything that happens on an investigation, which is so true. So true. And even if you don't, have so much of an experience, they're still listening, watching, observing. So still saying, thank you very much for heading out, know, thank you. Thank you for sharing the space with me. Thank you for sharing the energy with me. Whatever you need to say, you still need to be respectful of it. I have the cat ball video lined up. Is that good?
Yep.
Okay, let's do this one. You can set it up for us.
So you guys are about to see the first time and only time so far that we've gotten poltergeist activity on camera in front of us. So this video, I haven't even edited it yet. This is going to be our next investigation after the Sweet Springs video. This is at the Grand Midway Hotel in Pennsylvania. So you're on the ground sitting. You can see me. I'm holding the camera kind of facing me. And the woman is medium Bianca Rose, who has been to this place many times. And the room that we're in is called the Canopy Room. And it's supposedly the most haunted room. That doll that's sitting in the chair. The story of that was a family from Pittsburgh showed up at the hotel, handed over the doll to the owner and said, "This is causing way too much trouble in our lives. You need to keep it." So he sat it in that chair. And before we were filming and I go to sit down, I say, "Can you knock something off of a shelf?" And then you can play the video and you're going to see what happens.
Are you dancing and climbing up into this room? Climbing up the wall to come up?
Capital behind. Oh, the one there. Whoa!
Oh, okay.
Wow, I got them both. I got it too. I'm sorry. Thank you. We did tell them to knock something on the ground, dude.
Do you want me to fix that? Well, I'm just going to keep going up to this wall and back and forth now. So what I like about that too is if that floor was slanted, it would have just kept going in one direction. That was like this purposeful circle.
It was doing circles.
Yeah. Like not even a slant. And I loved right away that spirit, like that was me, like taking ownership. Me. Yep. That was me. I was doing that. Wild.
So the cat ball was set on another doll and the doll has like a dress on and the cat ball was put in like the fold, like it was kind of like this and it was sitting in the dress. And in the video, when the video is done and we have it out, you'll see us try to debunk it. And we put the cat ball back into the same spot and I'm jumping up and down right next to it. The cat ball doesn't even go off. So what I think that's really cool about that video is the cat ball goes off before it's pushed, meaning like, okay, it's something's touching it and then it just rolls off of this doll and onto the floor. But it had to go over a fold of clothing. So it went up over the fold and then off and hit the desk and onto the floor. And then, like you said, the spirit box saying that was me, like right after. Yeah, that was Nick's camera angle. Thank God, because I was too worried about what I looked like on camera at that time, and I wasn't watching it. So thanks, Nick.
Yeah, that's a great catch, and great with so many different things happening at one time.
Yeah, and we actually caught a lot of activity on our SLS camera. We built one just from an Xbox 360 Connect. Then we wired it up to a portable battery, attached it to a tablet, ran the software that the 360 Connect uses. And in that room, you'll see in the video, I'm standing there and I'm kind of facing Nick, who's at the same spot he was in that video, like right at the doorway.
Right.
And I'm standing up near that fireplace that was to the right. And I'm like, Nick, my hand is like all tingling. And he was like, that's crazy because there's a figure holding your hand on the SLS camera. And I couldn't see the tablet.
Right.
And so I could feel it. It was like my whole hand was freezing and it was like pins and needles just in this hand though.
And it's ice cold when they're touching it. It's ice cold. And depending on that spirit, you can feel fingers. Like it's literal for me anyway, when they're touching, it's literal fingers that you can feel when they're
mine like anytime I've been touched or like even in that video, it feels like a cold static. I guess that's a way to explain it.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's good for you to understand that if that is, that spirit language for you, that every time that happens, this is what it means for you, and for somebody to have that equipment. And again, it's understanding your team, right? So everybody knows what they need to do to help validate whatever is going on in that experience.
Yeah, and he was watching it, recording it, and he didn't tell me that there's a figure standing there. So I think he already knew. He wanted to see, like, okay, what reaction or what interaction will we get out of this?
Yeah.
And I just happened to say, like, my hand, like, it feels like something's like holding my hand, and he's like, that's crazy because there is something holding your hand.
So you have one more video. Is that at the same location? It's the hallway. I think it looks like you're in a hallway.
Hallway. Bring it up.
Yeah. I will.
I'm trying to remember exactly what I sent.
Sorry, got things out of order here, so it's just taking me a second.
You're fine.
See, there's a faster way of doing this. I don't think there is. So I'm going to ask a question while I'm like scrolling through all this stuff again.
Sure.
So if you made that equipment, have you noticed if there's anything that influences it?
Yeah. So coat racks will pick up the shape of a human.
A chair. Sometimes a chair will do it.
Not really. Not so much a chair. Light posts, like not like a light post, but like a lamp, like a tall lamp. So anything that's kind of like skinny and tall can pick up a, I guess you would call it a false positive.
So would anything electric? So nothing electric, right? So it's just the shape. So it won't get affected by anything. It's just, how it would pick up the furniture or the room, how the room is set up, that kind of stuff.
Yeah. So the Kinect throws out like thousands and thousands of infrared dots. We obviously can't see that with our eyes. So this was at Old Hospital on College Hill. And there's going to be a very loud disembodied voice that we hear with our ears, which again is pretty rare. Usually when we get them, I won't notice we have it until I go back in the footage.
Right. And so that's something else too to talk about. You may feel like you've done a whole night where nothing has happened, and then you start doing your review and all kinds of stuff shows up.
Yeah. And this place was exactly like that. We thought we didn't catch that much, but if like you go watch our video, there's tons of stuff in it.
Well, that's probably you dropping it.
But I didn't.
No, it was on when he picked it up. I saw it. I'm telling you, I'm hearing like
Punch.
right there.
Punch.
Right there.
Punch.
Right there.
Punch.
Right there.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and we were hearing that with our own ears.
Yeah, I always say it's like your outside ear, and again, it's crazy when that happens. It doesn't happen very often. When it's outside ear, it's a good catch when that happens. Where was that again?
Old Hospital on College Hill.
Old Hospital.
That is in, I want to say, Williamson, West Virginia. It's right on the border of Kentucky. So we did.
Johnny, did you hear that?
We did Old Hospital on College Hill, and then the next night, Sweet Spring Sanatorium. So we did back to back. That was our little West Virginia road trip.
I think those were all of them, right, Ryan? There was like
I believe
the 3
so.
videos and the 2 photos.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that. Yeah, Joni's from Kentucky, so
Okay. I know Waverly's out there, Waverly Hill Sanatorium. That's another place we're going to get to eventually.
and the review part people don't realize too, like that's time. It is time consuming, going through everything.
Oh, Louisville, Kentucky. Okay, so he's close to it. Yeah, I mean, we at that time we had 4 cameras. So the way we kind of do our videos is in a vlog style, I guess you could say.
Right.
And we're all kind of shooting each other. So I have to go through and match up all the audio to the video. And then kind of like I could be talking, so the camera will be facing me or the shot will be facing me. And then Emily will come in and say something. So I have to switch it at the right time to be looking at her and take my audio from that. So I think that's the most pain in the butt thing is the audio.
And then, so do you like your time stamping at the same time? Do you time stamp when you're doing that?
I go off of like I'll search for a certain point in the video of a specific word or sound. And that's when I know to switch it and how I know they're lined up. So I'll have them on top of each other, lined up in my software. And I'll be able to kind of make a cut and then disable one video and go to the next video, which is like underneath of it or on top of it. Depends on how many cameras are in that scene.
And then using the equipment, it's a lot of trial and error and really getting to know it and understand it and how it's going to work best too, right? Like taking the time to really understand it. And
so I mean, I think that's like a cool discussion because the best tools, and I know this sounds like kind of lame, but the best tools are us.
Agreed,
like
100%.
Your own body, your eyes, your ears, your like feeling your vibe.
The hair on your arm standing straight up.
Yeah, I mean, I
feeling
remember
nauseous. Sometimes you get into one room and you just suddenly feel sick to your stomach or your head hurts, get dizzy. There's something to it.
That's what happens to me. I get the dizziness. It seems like when there's like a real active room or something had like something traumatic that energy is holding to a room, I usually get lightheaded and dizzy.
And I think too that people forget, if we're talking about equipment, a notebook and a pen.
Emily does that. Emily writes down stuff.
Yeah.
But it's important, names, dates, because like take Old Hospital in College Hill, for example, right? It's a hospital. How many people have went through that hospital, passed away at that hospital? You could be getting names and you just think like, oh, that's weird. Like the obvious is just saying a name or something. But then we've had times where we've lined up like at the Old Hospital, we got 2 names and then we got what sounded like a last name. So I did research and found out that the names that we got in the last name, it was a husband and wife, both passed away in West Virginia in that area.
I love that when that happens.
It was just
that's
super
crazy.
Weird.
Yeah, that's awesome. And you really feel like you've accomplished something too when you're able to, catch that and then do the research and pull it all together, right? To tell that whole story.
Yeah. Nick
is just saying, I get the fight or flight sense.
He's very good at picking up on things.
And again, I think it's a muscle. The more that you do, you use it, right? You use it or lose it. And it gets stronger every time you go and the more you do. So those people who, may not or have felt included in groups and want to start, how would you encourage them? What would you encourage them to do first steps, equipment to start with or try?
So
Get the basics, just the K2 meter and cat balls and a camera. That's all you got to start out with. That's all it is.
even the iPhone camera, right?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it's good enough. And like what Emily said, K2 cat balls, you can get a K2 and like, I don't know, like 15, 20 cat balls for probably a total of like $30.
Yeah. Thank you, Amazon.
Yeah. You don't have to like go out and buy, like we have like the coffin looking music box. We have an Ovilus. We built, you know, the SLS camera. I built I have it right here sitting next to me. One of those like spirit portals.
Look at you.
Yeah, so it's just
That's
a
brilliant.
regular, you take a regular radio, and then on Amazon
Yeah.
you can get a noise gate and a reverb, and you know that's how you set them, and then you just attach a SB7 or SB11 of your choice, plug it in, and then you can kind of adjust the amount of reverb that you hear. But yeah, like I think like these things probably go for like, if you were to buy one, like $400 to $600. And I think for me to build this, I spent, I think $100.
And understand, and I think there's something about that too, like you're understanding all the ways that it works and can be influenced, and you know, and that there's something to that. Nick is just adding in, and the Spirit Talker app is worth it for $5.
Yeah. Like I said, I was super skeptical about that thing. And he was always harping on it, always using it. And it's collected some of our best evidence.
I had an app on my phone that would spit some words out, and it was crazy. So I tested it because I wanted to see. I was having people over for a seance, so I did the Spirit app, like the Talker app, before these people came, and it gave me the name of somebody that came through during the seance. It gave me how that person died. Like it was all accurate, 100% accurate.
Yeah, and I always tell people, like, you're going to if you use a phone app, right? One, like, try to use the phone apps that are at least somewhat credible.
Yeah.
Because there are ones that are BS. Like, I see one where it's like a ghost radar, and it's like a sonar thing, and there's a dot that pops up where.
So I'll tell you though, I tried that one, and it was pretty. Everything was pretty bang on when I used it. I didn't look at the radar part, but it spit out my ex for a long time ago.
Yeah.
Like, we're gonna go back that far with it.
I'm still here.
Yes, but it spit his name out. It spit out what his dad gave him after he died, and again spit out when I said like the month of his birthday, spit out that month, and it was all accurate. So again, it's being open-minded, right? But definitely having, looking at the credibility of it and how many people are using it. And
and I know a lot of people are kind of like, oh well, I don't want to use like a phone app, or like the Spirit Talker, take for example. They're like, it's on a cell phone. Like, if spirits can manipulate radios, any of the devices that we use, they can do that with a phone too. Like, it's not it's not like so different.
We have been places, Jody and I have been places where they shut the phone. It's like this blinking off and on, and apps are rolling and moving, and they're affecting the cell phone sometimes before the other equipment as well too.
Yeah.
Oh, thanks, Melissa. Melissa was just here for a seance. I gave away spots for a seance in my home. I do this thing at Christmas called the 12 Days of Giving. So I give away sessions. I give away seance spots. I give away, come join me on an investigation. So those first 12 days of December, I'm giving away stuff to people. So she was one of the winners. She said, "You're amazing. I felt bad for you though, seeing you experience how spirits." Well, yeah. That's just how it works for me, though. And it's only for a few minutes how I feel they passed. And once I got it out, then I'm good. And then I really want a Baconator by the time I'm all done, to be honest with you. Like, I'm starving. I'm just ready for a burger. So where can everybody find you? You want to shoot out your socials?
Yeah. So obviously our like kind of bread and butter is going to be YouTube. And that would be Paranormal Theory. You can probably find it better at paranormal_theory. And then we also have Facebook, which is Paranormal Theory, Instagram, which is paranormal.theory. And then we have TikTok, which we have been getting pretty popular on lately. I think we're almost at 1,000 followers on TikTok.
And do you not have a Patreon too?
We do.
Did you say that already?
No, I did not. And that is, I want to try to bring up that our Patreon. So the cool thing about Patreon is we've been uploading basically raw footage that is unedited and that has not made our YouTube videos that you'll be able to watch as a subscriber on Patreon. So I thought that's kind of cool. Like, we have static cams that set up that are specifically for Patreon members.
Right. That's awesome.
So our Patreon, I believe it's on our link tree.
Thank goodness for that. That's what I have too. It's easier for everybody.
Yeah. And I'm just trying to bring up our link tree here. Link tree.
Thanks, Emily, for joining in tonight.
Thank you.
This was great. And I have that starred. So if you go back in on the comments with the YouTube link.
Yeah, so our Patreon is going to be, you could probably just search it as Paranormal Theory 263. I believe that's what it would come up as.
And I know that I have it in the show description. So if you do look at, on Psychic Medium Kerrilynn Shulhorn Facebook page, I have all of your social links on there as well too in the show description. And you can also find that on the UFO Paranormal YouTube and Facebook page as well too. So I just want to say a big thank you to you guys. This was great. I'm really appreciative, Ryan, that you reached out and said, "Hey, can we make this happen?" I'm so grateful for that. This is a lot of fun. And anytime you guys want to come back and show your stuff, I'd love to have you back on. Thank you, everybody that participated in the chat. Thank you for all the comments, the questions, and Melissa, extra thank you for sleuthing out the song and putting some puzzle pieces together in that story. That's something that they can look at later. Thank you, Joni, for offering as well too to do some astrology with that case as well too, to fit another puzzle piece in. So I really appreciate everybody being here. Thank you so much to the UFO Paranormal Radio Network and the United Public Radio Network, 105.3 and 107.7 out of New Orleans. If you stay on with UPRN, the Church of Mavis is coming up next with Jeffrey Pritchett. And on next week's show, we have our wonderful network owner, Joe Montaldo, coming on. And we will be talking about all things UFO, alien species, indigo children. We will be talking about all of that next week. So I hope you guys join me again next week. Thanks for being here, everybody. See you next Friday.
Thank you.